people with Parkinson's are very likely to fall. They just are. It's a fact that compared to their age group, they are much more likely to fall than others in an age-related category. So let's talk about why. Basically, I see about 6 different reasons why people fall. One of them are slips, trips, misses, loss of balance, freezing of gait, and things you just shouldn't do. Slips, that's pretty easy. You think you put your foot down in one place, but it doesn't stay there. It slips out from under you. So that could be like water on the floor. It could be a piece of paper in an office. It could be wearing slippery socks on a hardwood floor. Any kind of spills. We think of the banana peel, but really a grape. Just a little piece of something is enough to slip on. Ice, of course, and throw rugs that slide under your feet. So that would mean, if you're talking about water on the floor, you think showers and kitchens. Those are really particularly dangerous. And that's why it's really nice to think about what kind of precautions you can take in the shower to maybe make the floor less slippery, to secure those rugs so that they don't slip underfoot when you're getting in and out, to use grab bars, those kinds of things. But we can get into that later. More common trip factors are very subtle. In other words, it might not be a big curb that you trip over, although it could be. But often it's that little bitty edge sticking up on the concrete, or it's that rug on the floor, or it's a transition piece, something that you're not expecting to be a big deal. But when people with Parkinson's, especially those who have a shuffling gait where they're walking really flat-footed, as soon as they hit a small object, it doesn't have to be big, it stops the motion and the person pitches forward. So it's a really common one. And one of the other ones that, happens a lot is cords across the cords, like electrical cords across a pathway. I would see that all the time. I did home care for years, and that was a really common one. Any kinds of transitions in the flooring, pets that get in the way that you're not expecting to be there. They just, park themselves while you were eating, and you get up and, didn't see that. And then just basic uneven terrain. In the bedroom, a really common one is when people have their bedspreads down and hanging on the floor, and you walk around the corner and you catch your foot in the bedspread and it stops you. So that one happens a lot. Misses. Misses are when you just don't anticipate the change at all. I had a place where I missed a bunch of times in my own house when we first moved in here. At the bottom of the stairs, that last step was really dark at night. The other ones would be lit up by the light up above, but that last one was dark, and it looked like it wasn't there. And so I would think I was stepping onto flat ground, but there was actually another step. So things like that are in shadows, or glare is the other side of that coin, where the light is hitting you in the eyes and you can't see something. So vision is a big part of that. Could be a hole in the ground that's covered up by the grasses or something. You didn't see it. Steps of unequal height. We see this a lot in Old Town Louisville, where I live, where the steps going down into basements are often not according to code. And so you might get one that's really deep and then one that's not. And when they're uneven like that, you don't anticipate. You can't get into that rhythm of anticipating, how much effort it's going to take. Stepping over an object that moves, especially pets. I've seen a lot of pet injuries over time. Well, another one is in office chairs, rolling office chairs. So you think the chair's there, but it rolls out of your way partially or completely, and you try to sit down, it's not there. Another one for sitting, and I'll just demonstrate this one quickly, is I call it helicopter versus airplane landings. Helicopter landing would be quite nice. It's not good for parenting, but it's really good for Parkinson's landings. You get your feet set right where you want it in front of the chair, and then you put in your landing gear and you sit down. But with Parkinson's, a lot of times what you see is more of an airplane-like landing, where as you come in and you get closer and closer, maybe because of fatigue or just not knowing where to put the feet, you kind of slide on in, lower yourself down, and sometimes you're not quite where you thought, not quite all on the chair. So it's really helpful, I think, sometimes even just to put a couple pieces of tape in front of the chair to show you where to put your feet. So you do that part first, and you don't try to just sort of blur the landing in with the coming in with the landing. You want to have them two separate things. I come in, get my feet where they're supposed to be, then I bow down, reach back, and sit. And then, of course, a miss can happen whenever you're distracted from what you're doing. It might be having a conversation and you trip over a curb or whatever. So there's all kinds of things that can cause that. When I think about getting dressed and some of the conversations I've had with a few of my Parkinson's folks who just insist on, I want to get my pants on the way I've always done it, which is standing up. It just feels kind of immature, like childlike, to have to sit down to put my pants on. But what you find is, so you start to get your pants on and we all know that when you're trying to do a balance activity, if you're standing there with your feet wide apart, easy, you can stay there all day. If you put your feet close together, a little bit harder. If something hits you, you're probably more likely to fall over. If you then close your eyes and try to stand there with your feet together, ooh, that's getting harder. Now, if you lift your foot up and try to do that, it's even harder. So picture this, you're trying to get your pants on and you get your foot stuck in that thing, and then all of a sudden you're doing one of these. We know that Parkinson's, one of the criteria for diagnosing it is slowness and stiffness. So if you take a person who is trying to get a pair of pants on, and their reaction when they start to lose their balance is a little bit slower than, say, mine would be, because I can quickly kind of tell, oh yeah, I'm losing my balance, I gotta give a little hop to get back. Or if they can't twist and rotate easily, that's part of what keeps your balance when a force hits you, is you rotate in different ways, and that helps you to maintain the balance even when you're getting kind of squirrely. You do this kind of stuff. So anyway, putting on pants. You think, okay, well, all right, I'll sit to put my pants on, but I'm not sitting to put my shirt on. However, when you think about it, you put your sleeves on, take that shirt up and over, and there's a moment where your eyes are, you're blinded by the shirt over your head. And what if, when your eyes are blinded and you suddenly kind of get a little off, your arms are stuck, so you can't reach out, you're going to fall. So again, all those things, if you can think ahead and think, I used to do it that way, but maybe I need to change that. Anyway, I digress. Other things that can cause a loss of balance that are particular to us as we age would be any kind of spinal deformities. So kyphosis and scoliosis, really common as we age, but even more so with Parkinson's. Sometimes you get severe forward bend, and it can really throw your balance off. Orthostatic hypotension is a very big one. So getting dizzy when you change positions. People with Parkinson's tend to not always make that automatic quick adjustment of their feet before they stand up. They might have their feet, I'll do a side view, they might have their feet out in front and not move them automatically back in underneath them, so it's easier to stand. Or another thing I see a lot is where they tuck their feet underneath and then they really can't stand at all. They're totally off. So you see one or the other, but normally you just back with the feet, hands on the seat, go low and forward, and then up you go, and it's super easy. So the other thing is not using handholds that are available. And this is super common. On stairs, I see this a lot where there might even be a nice railing. Hopefully there is. And hopefully it's on both sides, because when you're going up, your strong side would probably use it. And then going down, your strong side is on the other side. Anyway, using the railings is kind of an interesting thing because that awareness, I have a gentleman right now I'm working with whose awareness of his right hand is profoundly affected. And he has to really tell himself or have somebody else tell him every single time he uses the stairs, put your hands on the railing. And then I've also had people who, they put their hands on the railing to start with, and then they start to go up the steps, but their hand doesn't move. It stays back there. They forget to progress it. The hand is not going to help them unless it's in front of them. So you want to keep it going up as you're going up. And same for going down. And speaking of stairs, just don't carry things on stairs, because then you can have both hands carrying a basket of laundry, and maybe you can't even see the stairs that you're on. And you can have really bad accidents that way. Oh, and of course, your medications and certainly alcohol can affect balance as well. What can make it worse? Anxiety. So people watching you. Fearfulness. If you've fallen before, you're afraid of falling again. Distractions. Trying to do too many things at once. Other things, let's see. Feeling hurried, pressured, stressed. All those things can add to tendency to fall. Dogs that are stronger than you, that you're taking for a walk, and they see a squirrel and off they go. Freezing of gait, that's a whole section that we could talk about. But that's basically when the feet just stop moving, and your body is still trying to progress, to get somewhere. It happens in different situations for different people, and knowing what causes it is going to be the answer to it's going to be the solution that you're looking for. You have to know what's causing it before you know how to address it. And there are so many strategies, but I'll just go through a list of things that might cause freezing of gait. Clutter on the floor, so just too much stuff to figure out, or coming into a crowded or chaotic situation. Might be a social situation where there's just too many things and you can't figure out what's my plan for getting from the doorway to the seat that I'm assigned to or whatever. Having to go through a lot of maneuvers to get to something. Like if I wanted to get to my curtains over there, but I had to maneuver around a chair to squeeze in there and then make an awkward move to reach the windows or the blinds. That could cause a freeze. Any kinds of rapid changes in direction, especially turns. People with Parkinson's tend to use their upper body to initiate the motion. And so if I want to go and my feet are kind of stuck it's called an initiation freeze of gait, then what I'm likely to do is lean forward to get the motion going, and then you end up kind of looking like a tree that's falling, trying to get your feet to catch up. And eventually that will just come to a stop and a person will pitch forward. Likewise, to turn to the side, a lot of times, it's common to turn your head, then your shoulders, then your foot, and you go someplace. But with Parkinson's, that timing is off. So I tell people, turn your foot first. And don't worry about the head. It's going to go because you're going to look to see where you're going to go. But go first with the foot, because if you don't, and the timing is off, you can whip your head around, your shoulders around, and then your feet are tangled up with each other and you fall that way. Things that you just shouldn't do. I would give away your ladders, your step ladders, or let somebody else have them and do that. Don't talk to people when they're on the stairs in the middle or especially at the top of the stairs. My mother lived with me for a while. She was super kyphotic, and she would have to look up like this, and to see up above her, if she was in the middle of the steps, she would have to go like that, and she would do that. Makes me completely crazy. The other thing I see people doing in their homes is they get to the top of the steps. Now they're tired because they've just made that journey up, and somebody asks them a question, or they stand there to try to think of, okay, where am I going to go next? But they're very vulnerable for a fall backwards if you don't clear the steps. So a lot of times I'll put a grab bar out in front. If there's a wall there, like with a hallway, I'll put a grab bar straight ahead and say, don't stop until you get to that grab bar, and then make your decision about where you're going to go. Or I'll extend the railing around to the side and say, just go until you're finished with the railing to get you around the edge. So there are lots of little things that you can kind of think about. We're always looking at ways to either change the way that you do things or change your own ability by working on a skill. My friend Joseph always says the best exercise if you want to improve an actual skill is to do the actual skill and just do it a lot and do it a proper way.